AQUABIZ, all the best knowledge for aquatic system.
Good morning, and thank you very much for that invitation, and thank you very much for coming here to listen to me today. And I am going to be giving you next 2-3 hour talks on carbon footprint and energy reduction in Aquafeed. It can be also for pet food, or could be any feed industry. And you are here to learn about why we need to reduce the energy cost and why we need to improve our sustainability. That's becoming a very big issue. And also we talk about it briefly about carbon footprint becoming a very big issue in US and Europe, maybe not here yet, but you're going to see it very soon that you have to face this carbon footprint, how you're going to reduce your carbon footprint for your facility. Therefore, in this presentation, next 2 hours, 3 hours, we're going to talk about some strategies that you can pick some points, and when you go home, you can implement these points to your facility to see if you can reduce some carbon footprint. And I was reading one of the articles, and I learned, and feed manufacturing is one of the largest polluters, or you call it, causing a carbon footprint. And therefore, if these 30,000 industries can reduce some amount of carbon footprint, and there will be a lot of different effect in the whole world and in our new generation coming up after us. Therefore, let me start with that first question. What is driving this? Why do we think we need to reduce the energy cost? Everybody knows that the cost of energy is climbing every single day. If you look here, and you're going to look here also in the future, it is climbing at energy crisis, and of course the prices of electricity is going very, very high. I was surprised yesterday. I walked around in Bangkok and I see so many lightings, all the powers, all that lights are here. But when I go to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, there are 22-hour load shedding. 22 hours there is no power because they have a crisis there in a lot of different countries, and I happened to be in this country recently, and I was amazed to see that this country have no privilege. You have it, and also it is some other country, the prices of electricity prices going very high. There are going to be energy crisis there, and it is climbing every single day. Therefore, you have to start thinking right now that yes, today you have electricity, you have a power, you have everything, but maybe tomorrow you will also face the same issue. Therefore, think about the countries that they do not have at all power. They are 22-hour load shedding. There's no power. There's only 2 hours. They have electricity. They have to make appropriate arrangement. I don't know if you many follow the news or not. There was recently an article. Some of the country, the water is gone, groundwater. There is no water for miles and miles for people to drink anymore. Therefore, this is other big crisis coming up there, the water shortage and availability. Some of the countries, water is going and there is no water. And there's a competition between the industry, municipality, and of course to be used in agriculture. Therefore, agriculture want to use water, industry, you guys want to use water, and municipality want to use water. And this is also is big factor because of weather. If you can see that, I live in Texas, and before I came here, every single day we have a weather, storms, and there was so much rain that we got flooded. We never have that much rain before. And some of the part, it is no rain at all. Therefore, weather is changing very rapidly. I'm not going to go in a political situation if there is a, have any of that issue with that or not, but sustainability and also energy crisis, there is some things going on because there's a lot of political debate. Environment is warming up, and we are causing that issue. but I have seen the weathers. A lot of countries had a flooding now. Some of countries have no water at all. Therefore, basically, this is also the driving force that some of the country very soon will not have any water. And of course, some of the countries, may be flooded and all that. Therefore, these are some of the driving force that we are trying to think about why we want to look into it. Also, for some other issues or trends that people want to reduce the carbon footprint is that most of the multinational company made a decision. They have already signed the contracts that they are going to reduce carbon footprint in the future. And therefore, this is their corporate policies. And they want to get some carbon credit for that. Therefore, if you look on all the multinational company, they have signed in the sport, and they want to make sure their stability. And that's what you will see at your company. I don't know if you have signed or not, but you will see that a lot of people are signing up for carbon credit, carbon tax credit, and you will get some benefit rebate if you can reduce some of the carbon footprint. And this is a national level, international level agreement. Most of the international companies have that one, and that's what's driving the force to this one, that we need to get some energy credit as well. As I mentioned that, there are a lot of countries, especially in Europe and USA, now we have legislations. Legally, each company will be fined if they produce too much carbon footprint. They must reduce that carbon footprint in order to anticipate some of the tax policies. And of course, there are a lot of companies, they are setting up their own standards. Also, they are basically living in this society. They have some kind of social responsibility, cooperative governments, and of course, they want to make sure that they are utilizing properly the environment. Therefore, basically, it's very important that they have to pay attention to that we need to have some corporate credit. This is just one step ahead of you, that if you want to make sure you are going this one, you want to get some tax credit, and you need to get some of that, your policy set up there, so that you will not see this in the future coming up to you. Then how can we reduce some of the energy crisis, energy costs, carbon footprint? I mentioned here Aquafeed, but it will be same for pet food, will be same for the feed industry. I just mentioned pet food here, Aquafeed, and we're going to focus most on the extrusion technology. Some of the strategies, people are using it. Some of the extrusion companies trying to adopt that one, the manufacturers, to help you guys to reduce the future cost of the carbon footprint and energy. But also, it could be for the pet food, it could be for any food industry, feed industry. Some of the strategy, we can use that one. And as I mentioned, energy saving had become a #1 issue, very important issue for the industrial pollution. And of course, we need to identify what is causing it. We need to find efficient technologies, efficient machineries, efficient extruders, efficient dryers, and of course, how we will implement that into our current situation. You're going to tell me that, yes, these are good things, but we already have it. We already have our aquafeed industry. We already have extruder. We already have a dryer. Then we will talk about how can you also implement some of the strategy on the existing facilities, but also you can always go back and implement these things, and also you can always go back and if you are planning a new one, you can also do it, implement some of the strategies. But again, if you are going to do a new one, most probably your supplier is going to tell you this is a new trend, this is what we're going to do that. And you will see that, I don't know if you had a chance or not to visit some of the facility. If you see an old facility and you see a new facility, there is 100% difference in that. How they establish it, how they install it, how they keep the mind of environmental pollutions, and how the new technology they are using it, adoption, all that is helping everybody to reduce their facility. If you remember that some of the old industries I used to go there, it's so loud you can't even hear it, anything there. But the new food industry, I go there, very quiet. You can talk on the floor, you don't hear any noise. Old industry, I used to go there, sometimes I can't even breathe there, so much dust, so much smoke, so much issues there. But no, you can go there, walk about it, there is no any smoke, there's no any dust there and all that. There are some food industry, pet food industry, one is in USA, one in Europe. that you can use the same facility to make the pet food and use the same facility to make the human food. So clean, so nice that you can basically see it, look like everything is running, and it's very, very up-to-date, very new technology coming up. Therefore, there are some points here going to be for the new facilities that if you're going to install something new, of course, these things you can complement. But of course, if you're already in the business, we'll talk about also how can you implement some of the things there, adopt some of that, how you can make it more efficient, your facilities, and then do that one as well. Strategies that we're going to use to reducing our energy costs and carbon footprint in aquafeed, in pet food, you can call it. Therefore, this is not one thing you can do it. It is we call it facet. There's different steps you have to take it, and then approach that target various stages. For example, you can't just think, okay, I am an operator of the extruders, what can I do? You have to think about your raw materials, where you're getting it, how you're getting it, what is the costing you raw materials. We heard about the sustainability of soybeans in the US. We are producing a soybean in the US which is very, very sustainable. We don't do too much tillage. We use the same field again there. Therefore, we don't use too much herbicide, insecticide, because sometimes it is causing a lot of issue for the sustainability. Therefore, we grow some crops with nitrogen fixing there again. So basically, you need to think outside the box. You cannot just see it in your own factory, in your own industry, in your own extrusion facility room. You have to think about what is causing it from your supply raw material and all the way to go into the plate. That means every step you have to think about it. Therefore, what we're going to do here is to go into different areas. For example, the very first one, how you select your ingredients, what they have effect on carbon footprint, how can they reduce your cost, and there are some strategy you can use it when you secure your raw materials. You can think about that, because maybe you're operators or you are maybe a marketing person, you don't think about it, but you can start from the raw material sourcing. And then I'm sure if there's anybody here nutritionist, what is the efficient feed formulation? You don't want to keep adding a feed formulation and feeding to your fish and the poultry and they're not growing it. You're wasting your time and money and energy. You need a very efficient feed formulation so that you make it, we call it precision nutrition, that you only target your species and target your nutrition so you get maximum benefit without wasting any of your energy or any of your other cost. Therefore, we'll talk about how you can do some of the strategy, efficient feed formulation. And then my favorite area is processing. How can you make it energy efficient processing? What can I do it when I bring my raw materials? How can I use efficient grinders? How can I use efficient mixer? How can I use efficient extruders, preconditioners? How can I make efficient dryers, coolers? How can I do efficient coating systems, how efficient transportations, packaging? All that step-by-step thing will cost about it. Therefore, we need to think about it from start all the way to the end, how you get the raw materials. Every industry has some waste. If you are aquafeed in pet food or even human food, whatever industry is, there is going to be a lot of waste. Some of that products are out of spec. You're supposed to make it 100% floating feed. You are making only 70% floating, 30% sinking. Customer doesn't want it. You have to recycle it, waste that one. That is a lot of energy you're going to be using it there to wasting that unless you don't use it. Therefore, there's also byproducts from the industry. We won't talk about it. Maybe some of your own industry have a byproduct. When you start up your extruders, when you start up your equipments, very first time you do not get your product on the spec, because it takes 10, 15 minutes to extruders to reach to that processing conditions. What will you do first 15, 20 minutes raw materials? That's a lot of raw material that was used a lot of energy. You have to think about how can I recycle that one. Sometimes we create a lot of damage. We're processing our own fish after that. What's the fish byproducts? Where are you going to use that one? What about also poultry byproducts? Can we use that one in somewhere? Therefore, we want to think about how can we save energy from every single thing on the aspect, starting from raw materials, processing, and then, of course, energy, recycling, all that. Then we're going to go further. We're going to talk about some of the renewable energy integration. How can you add some of the renewable things into it? what is your management system? Do you notice ever that your energy one day is going to be this much, and the second day or second week, energy is going to go higher? You will be amazed to that. We have a 3-day shift. There's 3 operators. Each operator runs differently. One comes in and he has this data and he's running it on this specification. Last night, other operator came up and he is using this data, and then your energy cost is gone very high. Why? Because he may be drying too much. Maybe he's adding too much moisture without noticing it. You do not have a data to base up. Therefore, each operator can have a different effect on your energy, because some may dry, some may not dry too much, or some may not dry that much. And also, your transportation and logistics. How far are your ingredients you're getting it? From where you're getting the ingredients? Can you get a locally grown ingredients to save your energy? You have to get all the way from other part of the world, or you can get locally grown here. How are you transporting it? When you transport your product, is it a full load or half load? Can you do it full load so that you don't waste the time? When you bring back your truck, when you deliver the product, are they can be empty? Or can you fill up with the ingredients, bring it back to save the energy? You have to think logically for everything, that if I'm going to ship my materials to other part of that Bangkok, and when it's come back the truck, it's coming empty. You have to think about logically every single step. And then, of course, some of the certifications, we talk about it, because if you get the certification, it tells you to the customers that you are following energy management system, you are following sustainability, some of that lowering the carbon footprint. Therefore, there are certification which, if you put it on that, on your bag or on your certificate, it automatically telling the consumer that you are following it, good practices, you are taking a sustainability approach, and you are reducing the carbon footprint. Therefore, these are the things we're going to discuss one by one in this talk. 10 items, we're going to talk about one by one at a time, so that you can see which of these may be affect to you, which of these can help you, which of these things you can take it home, and you can implement that. If you are in purchasing the raw materials, maybe the first one work for you. If the nutritionist, maybe the second one work for you. If the processing person, other one will work for you. If you are in that marketing, again, finishing product, it may work for you. Therefore, and if you are the manager or owner, it may everything work for you. Therefore, we will talk about one by one of these things, what is going to happen and how can I save the energy. Energy sourcing, ingredient sourcing in selections. That is the very first step in any of the aquafeed industry or pet food industry, that you have to buy the ingredients. Therefore, what we recommend that is think about logically when you're going to buy the ingredient. You want to find a very high quality ingredients and the supplier. Do you understand your ingredients requirement? Do you know what exactly you're looking for? You need a 48% soy protein, or you need it 44, or you need a 50% protein. Which one is that? Do you understand the requirement of your feed industry? Do you understand the requirement of your pet food or aqua feed, whatever you want to make it? What is my requirement? What is that I'm looking for? Do you understand what exactly I needed? How much fiber do I need it? How much protein do I need it? How much underfat I need it? Basically, you need to understand your ingredients requirement. Are you monitoring the quality? Maybe the supplier gave you very first day very good ingredients, and the next time you are not getting the same quality. Therefore, are you monitoring the quality? And also, are you have good relationship with that, with your supplier? Then, of course, you have also research potential supplier. You don't want only depend upon one person. Maybe tomorrow he is not available. Therefore, you want to think about also multiple suppliers. You can request samples. Get some samples first to see if that works for you or not. And then, of course, visit supplier facility to see how sustainable they are, how they are producing their ingredients. Have you ever seen anybody here purchasing department? Have you ever gone and see a facility, if you buy full-fat soy or you're buying a soybean meal, how they are processing it, what are their practices? Anybody who buy the ingredients have ever gone to see the suppliers, how they process, how they make it, how much sustainability they have, how much CO2 you're producing it. Maybe when you go, you change your mind. This is not for me. They are creating too much pollution for the environment. I don't want that one. Maybe you can see, yeah, these are one of the best people I ever seen. That one. Therefore, I encourage you to go and see your supplier facilities. Go and see whoever supplying you the ingredients. Most of the industry will give you the tours to go there, see how they are proud of that facilities, that this is our facility, this is what we're going to do it, and this is how we produce it. We are very sustainable. We are very energy conscious. We're not producing any carbon footprint. Therefore, I highly recommend you to go there and see their facilities continuously to make sure that they are doing a good job. These are things you need to think about when you buy the raw materials on selection. What is the contribution of the raw materials to that carbon footprint? And you can also Google it. The US soybean industry is much more sustainable. The latest reference I was failing, you can reduce 15% compared to Brazilian soybean. Why is that? Just because the practices that we do here in the US is much more sustainable and creating less CO2 as compared to some other countries. South America is the largest producers of the CO2. Therefore, if you're just buying the soybean from one source to other source, and you switch to US soybeans, you reduce 15% carbon footprint already. Actually, raw materials for Aquafeed is the largest contributor to that carbon footprint of extruded and pelleted feed. Therefore, if you can see that how you get raw materials, your fish meal, your bone meals, are you getting a blood meal? Have you noticed how they are preparing it, how much CO2 they are producing it? Soybean meals, your canola meals, are your wheat byproducts, your corn byproducts, whatever you're using in your feed formulation, they are the largest contributor to carbon footprint in the aqua feed industry. Remember that. Therefore, if you just look into the ingredients and look at your suppliers who have best practices and who producing less, you can also contribute to that CO2 reduction already. Just by changing that soybean. I'm not here telling you to stop buying Brazilian soybean, start buying it US soybean, although these people will be very happy because they represent US soybean growers. But I'm just saying that there is, because they produce soybeans so sustainably, this was the soybean of the European market, kilogram per. If you can see here Argentina, and you can see here Brazil, and you can see here US soybean footprint. Therefore, you can see other country to France, Italy, and Russia, and Ukraine. But when you compare these two, they are the largest producer of the carbon footprint. I'm not against Argentina. I have a very good friend in Argentina and also Brazil. It's just the practices they do that. That's what causing your carbon footprint. You can look at that one. This is a study done. You can just Google it, find that study there, that where they tell you that which country producing the most sustainable, lowest carbon footprint to produce soybeans or other ingredients, wheat, corn, canola, sunflower, whatever you're using it, you will find that one very easily. Therefore, I will ask you to make sure that you pay attention to your raw materials, how they are producing it, and how much carbon footprint they are contributing to the other options of the raw materials. Can you incorporate, we call it low carbon footprint ingredients such as algae, insect proteins, and microbial proteins. I was last week in Singapore. There was a big conference called Feed the Insect to the World. And there's a lot of paper published. A presentation was how that insect meal is going to go into that aqua feed industry and pet food industry. You can Google online and find it. And you can see that they have ingredients, whereas insect can be done it in small places. They have low carbon footprint, same as algae, same as microbial ingredients, causing it in the ingredients in the industry. They will think about it. If that allow you, if that is possibility in your feed formulation, if that is something that you think you can manage it, think about buying these ingredients, because these can often be produced very lower energy input compared to traditional fish meals and other animal protein. Therefore, these are the things that is the lowest carbon footprint that you can find it from algae and all that. And again, this is just an example. You can think about also other ingredients as well. I'm just giving you this one example only. Local sourcing, as I mentioned earlier, because how far is your ingredients are processed and brought into it, because if you're bringing it from there, if you can see the chain, you have a basically farming, and of course then it's called transportations, all that carbon footprint emission farm to the table, the processing and all these things will cost you a lot of carbon footprint. Therefore, if you can look into it, locally grown ingredients that can minimize the carbon footprint associated with logistics. Some of them may have the option that you can buy something locally grown, but sometimes you may not be able to. But this is other option. Think about it. If there's something locally grown here, maybe that can help you a lot there as compared to buying it from very, very large, from area, long distance area and all that, because that all cost you energy and also creating a CO2. Use of recycled materials. You will have some kind of byproducts coming up, Like if I mentioned that you have some trash fish, maybe you have some fish, soybean and from a kara, some other feed. If you can go back and use these ingredients into your formulation and then somehow can make it, work it, think about that, because this is a thing which is a recycling material, which is basically if you have some material which is not being used, and also if you have some off-spec product, when you start your machines, you're not getting a proper temperatures, not proper shape, not proper texture. All that materials can be recycled, and also some of the byproduct from the industry. We talk about, again, circular economy, that all the byproduct, you see it here, you can be used all the times back into that, into the feed industry and some other places as well. Therefore, basically think about it, that if you're making a fish here, you can recycle it, some of the byproducts back into your industry, if that only allow you to. I'm just giving you some strategies. I'm just giving you some of that information that maybe some of them work for you, some of them may not work for you, but you can use some of these things if that works for you or not. We talk about efficient feed formulation. Basically, what that means that, fish have to digest some of the ingredients, and if you don't make an efficient feed formulation, that means what? That means if you are just putting some of the junk into it, a fish is not utilizing it, you are wasting all your energy and all that. Therefore, basically, when we say that, we call that, I earlier mentioned, precision nutrition. Therefore, is anybody here a nutritionist? I'm sure they know what I'm talking about it, that you want to develop the formulations that meet the exact nutrition requirements of the aquaculture species, reducing the waste and improving feed conversion ratio. That also indirectly going to affect your carbon footprint and go to energy, because if your feed formulation is not efficient and you have your growth is reducing and all that, you're just causing a lot of pollution, lot of energy wasting. You want to make sure that energy using it very efficient feed formulation, which is very good, and then you can use that precision nutrition, we call it, and you can find that and get some help from the nutritionist, where basically you can take it ingredients, and then of course you have to make sure that you are using it depending upon each species, because you can make one of the feed formulation which for one species may not be good for the other species, because there are a lot of species there, they all need a different feed formulation, and you need to create your own precision nutrition for that. And some of the things which can help us in precision nutrition, basically, there are a lot of additives that people use it. Some of the enzyme, some of the things that you can use that one in the feed so that it will be efficiently digested by the fish. And then, of course, you have less waste and you have much better quality of that product. They have better feed efficiency and reducing your feed costs and indirectly reducing your energy and also your carbon footprint. Then also we have we call it eco-friendly additives. I don't know if you have heard that or not, but this is basically the term we use, which is environmentally friendly, the eco-friendly environment additives, and that can lower your environmental impact. Therefore, look into that one as well. There is some of that you can use it with, if that's your formulation allow you or not, and you can use some of that, some of the eco-friendly additives for your feed formulation, and then of course it will help you to improve that your also nutrition as well as it will reduce your carbon footprint and all that. Okay, we talk about so far ingredients. I had told you that we're just going to talk one by one. Ingredients preparation start with uniform grinding and mixing. If you are not mixing it properly, and I have seen sometimes people mix it too long and then they separate their ingredients again, and when they go to the extruders, and that's not energy efficient and you're wasting a lot of money. Sometimes you see that people are grinding it, but they're not grinding fine. They don't pay attention. They don't do the inspection of the grinders. They're wasting a lot of money. And I'm going to give you a few examples there. Therefore, last year I was in Ghana and visiting one of the fish facility, and they have every 2 hours, they have to shut down their extruders because dye plugged up. Every 2 hours. That they run only 2 hours, and then suddenly nothing coming out. They are making ultra fine feed, which was like, I think, less than 0.8 or 0.6 millimeter. But they have every 2 hours shutting down the machine, wasting a lot of raw material, wasting a lot of energy, and wasting a lot of time. And then we said, okay, what's the reason? on the die, every time they open up, they can find something behind the die that was plugging up. I said, why this is plugging up? And they have a grinders, very nice, and they have a sifter, very nice. And we have to go back and see that their sifter was working fine. We have to see the grinders, no screen was torn out, nothing was wrong with the screen was perfect. Then why this material is coming up and why it is plugging up your machine? And then closely examining, we noticed that all the screen was very good. But when you saw very closely the screens there, one of the screen was basically welded, was little lifted, and there was small opening inside, very clean. And with the pressure, material was forcing through there or going out small pieces. It was not torn out, it was not broken. It was not properly aligned, and it was just have small opening, and which was you cannot see with the naked eye. It was very interesting to see that how the screen was a little bit lifted from that, and then material was coming through there, and after they don't see the screen is broken, they don't see anything, but every 2 hours they have to shut down their machine and waste the energy and raw materials and then go back. And it was surprising to see that just very small, minor mistakes that was causing them so much cost of energy, and also they are wasting so much materials. Therefore, understanding the ingredients and recipe in extrusion is one of the most important things. For basically, proper preparation of the formula prior to extrusion will likely process greater stability, use lower energy. Remember that we are trying to reduce the energy. But if you do it in the beginning which is much easier and less expensive energy as compared to using energy in the extruder, you will be much more beneficial, yielding improved product, eliminating the losses. Therefore, you need to know your ingredients. And of course, they are your best friend. But if you don't know your ingredients, then you are in big trouble. As I mentioned earlier, optimize grinding. And basically, that is one of that things that we recommend that always, that basically there's a lot of energy go in the grinding. A lot of energy go. What I was talking earlier, so I don't have to show you the picture there, this is a screen, and screen was lifted from here. It was not torn in the middle, but this is that where it was going, and it was just lifted from here. Therefore, all that material was going through that, bypassing it. The other going through the screen, it was going through that one. Therefore, you can see here what I mean. But basically, the high efficient equipment can lower your energy cost and also reduce, desired particle size, homogeneity. I put here a link for the YouTube. If you had a chance, look into that one. See the efficient mixing. How good is that? Sometimes we spend too much time for mixing. Sometimes we spend much less time. But if you're spending too much time for the mixing, you are wasting a lot of energy. And eventually what's going to happen is that they will separate again some of the ingredients. If you want to spend too much time there, you want to make sure that you implement very advanced technology of grinding and mixing that can reduce energy. What I mean by that is basically we call it circular grinding. That is the approach that a lot of people use it. In this case, all that ingredients that's not ground will go back in the hammer mills, grind it. Then of course you will go there, sift it, and all that. You will have crack grains also come here, sifted, and basically you will recycling it all the times. And if there are any oversized material, that will automatically go back into your grinders. Therefore, you don't have to waste time. You can use circular grinding to save the energy. That basically you have some kind of circle there, which is you can just make it up yourself how it is, so you don't have to go all that ingredients which is not properly ground, which is not sifted, that automatically go back into the grinders and keep using it, recycling it, and circular grinding, so that you will have a much better efficient raw materials to start with that. Therefore, basically just follow that circle grindings if you can, and that is one of the approach we recommend that to be used there as well. Then after you grind it, raw materials, you have to now make your feed, aqua feed or pet food. Then first is your equipment, which is an extruders, which has a preconditioner, which has a barrel. How good is your preconditioner? How good is that mixing it? How good it is giving you that mix and also the cook level to there? And also, how good is your extruders? Are they modern design? Or they are old-fashioned design? And basically, all the new machines I mentioned there, extruders, are designed to minimize the energy use. while maximizing the production and efficiency. Extruder manufacturer realized that also that there is a need for energy saving, and you will see that very big difference, the old-fashioned extruders and the new-fashioned extruders. You will see that new one take very small amount of energy as compared to the old one extruders. And I remember that we have one extruder which has like maybe 75 or 150 horsepower motor. Same capacity, we have a new extruder which has only 35 horsepower motor. There's a big difference because of that, because they are making it more efficient. They are making a more thing which is more consumer asking that. It's the same thing. You know that we are getting smaller and smaller, everything's big pieces. If you everybody remember that our evolutions from the phone, same thing, that we had before we have a phone which was basically this heavy, then we have a rotary, then we have a cellular phone which we will carry with us this big, then becoming a smaller and smaller. Now we have this phone which does every single thing. It's still the same function phone, but it does it. I watch my news here, I do my banking here, I do my extrusion here, I watch my extruders here, I do it my news, I do my email, I do my texting, I do it every single thing in that. Technology getting very smarter, getting very smaller, and there's a lot of capability now there also. Therefore, on the top of that, somebody was asking me AIs, artificial intelligence, getting into the extruders as well. Therefore, companies are using AI, artificial intelligence technologies to reduce the energy. They're telling you that how it's maybe more efficient. You don't have too long, big, your footprint, carbon footprint. You want to make sure it's very, very efficient technology. And you can think about it how we started with the phone. And today is the phone you have here, which does every single thing. Instead of carrying all your other things, the radio, the TV separate at home, you just carry one small gadget. Similarly, you have extruder, which are now much more efficient and much better producing quality-wise. And therefore, we're going to talk about very briefly on that as well. Therefore, you want to choose equipment that develop on science and research, how they are using it. You know, funny thing is, I was other day somewhere, they said we have bought the machine there, and they bought from a country, I don't want to mention the name, I think you will know that, they're just copying the machine and produce that one, and therefore they were not working properly. They have not done R&D. If you are going to go buy a new machinery, look into it, people who do R&D work, research and development work, and based upon that, they develop something so they are superior, including advanced processing tool, and also they are flexible, your ingredients. For example, if you have one of the extruders, you bought something like that, it may not be that flexible, you only can use this much raw material or this much fat in it. What if one day your fat ingredients have 1% extra fat, 2% extra fat? This is going to give you flexibility. The new machine is going to give flexibility because extra fat is going to change everything. And therefore, this new technology have much more flexibility to adopt wider range of that, your raw materials. Therefore, basically, what I'm trying to say here is that if you're going to invest something, buy something new one, and you have to think about it, choose equipment that has been developed based upon science, research, superior technology, and then, of course, advanced processing tool for ingredient flexibility. There's a lot of different preconditioners, and each of them take a lot of energy there. You want to know which preconditioners minimum energy to give you the best cook level. Therefore, this is what your goals are. And you need to talk with the manufacturers, ask them how much energy it will take my extruders or my preconditioner in order to do that. And sometimes we don't pay attention because we want to make sure that our formula we're using it, either for the fish feed or for the food, they have efficient mixing and, of course, intensity. And we have precise dial-on into the formula for hydration, heating, and mixing so that we can proper cook and lower energy consumption. Our goal here is to lower the energy consumption. I don't want to add too much steam into it and wasting all the steam here, and I'm not getting proper cook. In the preconditioner, if you can get above 30% or 40% cook level, then you're very efficient. Most of that preconditioner will give you only very less, like single shot going to give you only 15% cook. Double shot going to give you around 20% cook, and differential diameter may give you 25%, but this new efficient is going to give you 30 to 40% cook level, and basically it is more efficient, more energy consumed. They use the maximum energy instead of wasting it. And I'm going to give you one example here, which is not in your notes, that you got the slides there. I just added that one last night to just show you that one. You can see the two mixers, okay, two preconditioners. And if you are basically using it in the pet food industry, making a lot of meat slurries, this will be your not good efficient preconditioner. Whereas this one will be a very good, because you want to make sure your meat is getting mixed with that and you're making very nice mixing intensity. Same here. You can see here this preconditioner was not efficient, and this was just a regular preconditioner, and you can see small balls. That is all that was not hydrated, and this one will be not cooked properly in the extruder, whereas look at that here, this is very uniform. Therefore, you adding energy, same energy, but you're getting different result. Therefore, you want to make sure that you pick something which is better energy efficient and give you much better mixing and much better result as compared to a traditional one if you're going to buy that new one. Then the question came yesterday, I was giving a talk there for yesterday, we have existing preconditioner. How can we make it more energy efficient? Right? You already have a preconditioner. Now, I will say that go ahead and evaluate, and there's different way to do that to see how much is that you get the fill, how much water, where you're adding the water, where you're adding the steam, what is the direction of your beaters, and you can rearrange the beater directions. You can get more fill into it, get more energy here, so that you can stay in there. Therefore, there's a lot of techniques you can use it, and you can analyze your existing equipment, analysis, do it step by step to see which causing us energy loss, and how can we improve that one. And the latest technology, as I mentioned there, if you look here old, you can see here how much steam, energy was wasting in this case. And this is all that waste of energy. Now, therefore, used to be this preconditioner to vent to the atmosphere like that, and then it will just go in the energy and you have a lot of energy waste. But now the new one is all that is integrated and connected into your condensed excessive steam. We will condense and we recycle that and we use different areas. Therefore, you will not see any steam escaping. You will not see any of the things going out. Therefore, this will be a connector to the heat exchanger that will condense the excessive steam, and basically this will be helping you to save a lot of energy. With new cutting edge technology, we can reduce some of the mechanical energy and use some more thermal energy. Mechanical energy is more expensive than thermal energy. Mechanical energy comes from your hardware, from your electric motors and all that, which is more costly as compared to thermal energy. And we can get much better cook and have a much better result from there. Therefore, basically, if you can see this one here that I mentioned here, sometimes we can do that, this starch here, and you want to cook it there. You can use some steam, some of the mechanical energy, and then of course you can get starch being cooked and all that. Or if you can use some of the just thermal energy and the steam, that will have much better result. And there are a lot of papers being published. I just got one paper to review it, where they're adding the steam, more steam, to order to cook the starches as compared to use some of the mechanical energy, because mechanical energy is more expensive as compared to thermal energy. Therefore, let's go very specifically into aquaculture, our feed industry now. As I mentioned there earlier in the very beginning of my talk, that there are global survey done, more than 1 billion metric tons of feed being produced every year from 30,000 feed mill in the world. And therefore, there's a desire to reduce the energy efficiency of the feed production to a CO2 footprint. That's one of the most important things that we want to talk about it. Therefore, how do you do it in the existing system? If you have already an extrusion facility, how can I can reduce that? What we recommend that is to start evaluating your steps. Where do I adding energy? As I mentioned that, you have to have some of that mechanical energy for grinding, for mixing. You can't use thermal energy. But in the preconditioning, in the barrels, you can use, and in the drying, you can use a lot of thermal energy. Therefore, if you do that one here, and you can see we have some kind of energy milling, mixing, But preconditioning, extrusion, and cooling, we can always use that thermal energy, mechanical thermal energy. These are the sources that we use it. But of course, most of that will be used in the preconditioning, extrusion of Aquafeed. Then we add a lot of steam into it, and we're going to go look into it. How can we minimize energy consumption there? In order to understand energy consumption in Aquafeed, there are two kinds of energies. And one is called mechanical energy, one is called thermal energy. Therefore, there are several factors that can be used to calculate the input of energy in Aquafeed. Therefore, you have to think about it, where I am putting my mechanical energy, and you can calculate. Okay, you can see here different kind of, and then you had as I mentioned, there are different factors can be used to calculate energy in Aquafeed process. Two forms, specific energy and also your thermal energy. There you can calculate your whole mechanical energy, that how much mechanical energy I'm using in my facility. This is kind of the formula, you can use that one, and you can see that how much specific mechanical energy I'll be using it. That coming from your main drive motor, and that coming to your comparative process measured by the mass material, and of course corresponding to the electric energy. And what we're going to do here is that thermal energy, that is coming from your steam injection. How much steam you're injecting into it, and that hopefully give you some very good idea how much mechanical energy I'm adding it, how much thermal energy I'm adding it, and hopefully that will give you some information which one is mostly used. And I think maybe, let me see how many slides. Okay, yes. We can stop here maybe for the coffee break, and we come back here, right? Yes. Okay.